inflated tires improve gas mileage, promote safety, and help tires last longer. So be tire smart and do your part. Check tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Everyone does it. In the living room, the garage, at the kitchen table. Everyone you know. Your kid's teacher, the neighbor, the coffee guy. Hey, you're doing it right now. I'm talking about listening to radio. Radio is huge. And radio ads like this connect with 93% of Americans a week. That's bigger than TV, Facebook, and Google. So if you're a marketer with radio, you reach more of who you want. More boomers, more Gen Xers, even more millennials. So get to iHeartMedia.com for the one place everyone is. AM, FM radio. Come on, everyone's doing it.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. The best time of year is nearly here. Fall, as in fall season premieres. If you love TV, it's undeniable. Season and series premieres, live football, baseball playoffs, everything is happening. And this fall, you won't have to miss it. You can still keep your schedule. You can be on the move, be on the go with DirecTV Now. I'm hooked. It will solve so many problems. It will provide escapism in your day. You can watch live TV from your phone, your tablet.
All right, Dave. Graf's already calling you out. He wants YouTube bumper music the entire show.
More than 60 live channels plus on-demand shows. There's no annual contract, no bulky hardware, no installation. The era that TV lovers have been dreaming of is here. DirecTV Now. Get rid of cable. Watch live TV.
Hear over and over.
No cable box. It's only from AT&T.
DirecTV Now requires a compatible device that is sold separately. Your service renews monthly at a minimum of $35 a month until you cancel. Cancel anytime. Limit 2 concurrent streams. Pricing subject to change. Taxes and restrictions apply. See DirecTVNow.com for details.
A few years ago, my wife and I went shopping for amazing quality luxury bedding we could actually afford. And what did we find? Nothing. Hi, I'm Scott Tannen. Missy and I started Bull & Branch because we want you to be able to afford the best bedding in the world. By cutting out the middleman and selling directly to you online at bullandbranch.com, our award-winning sheets cost less than half of designer brands and are twice the quality. Every set is crafted from 100% organic cotton. They get softer and softer over time. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and even 3 U.S. presidents have Bull & Branch sheets. There's no risk. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bullandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets plus free shipping when you use the promo code OFFER1. That's $50 off plus free shipping right now at bullandbranch.com.
So of course the song came on and
bullandbranch.com spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code OFFER1.
He's
Our military service members volunteer to protect
30 seconds.
Places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road.
You heard when I said the Graf's already trying to punk you through text to me?
What?
He's claiming
at no cost
that we should be off the air if we don't play YouTube bumper music the entire show.
YouTube bumper? What does that even mean?
YouTube.
Oh, like YouTube?
Because of the show tonight.
Why? Does we want to put everybody to sleep?
Dunc and Holder here on a Thursday, September 14th. Once you get to Thursday, the sports world football season really fires up. I feel like you would need to have like 7 hours of a show to really get everything going on. But we'll try to jam it all into 2 hours here on Dunc and Holder as we're live at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. We're back on YouTube Live, thankfully, because without Clyde, we are lost with YouTube. We're just totally flying in the wind.
I mean, that's why I'm the part of like the whole like millennial like type culture to be able to help you guys with all this, budding technology to get this thing on. So I'm happy to be here, happy to help.
So much so that when Todd Graffanini's already calling out our producer Dave. I mean, I don't know why Todd thinks he can do whatever he wants, but he's already called for U2 bumper music for the entire show. And Dave was saying, what is YouTube music? And I bet you like 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds and probably even 20-year-olds are saying, who's YouTube and what are they doing playing in New Orleans tonight, Jeff? But you're going to go to the show.
Of course. It's an epic epic band with a chance to see them perhaps for the last time. I don't know. They're not doing too well, actually, on tour, not attracting huge crowds. But I'm excited to see. It's supposed to be an incredible show. And, they were a part of New Orleans history, as we all know, playing the Homecoming game in the Superdome back in 2006. And they still have that connection. I've seen interviews where they talk about the connection to New Orleans. So I'm interested to see what kind of colloquialisms they put into the show tonight.
I'm willing to bet they will play The Saints Are Coming. Just a small gamble. We're talking about odds yesterday, and, of course, we got college pick'ems today and NFL pick'ems tomorrow. I'm assuming we will hear this song once. Just small. Maybe Green Day even shows up. I don't know. Maybe. Trombone Shorty might show up.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That would
Rebirth. They might show up.
Maybe part of the opening act, or you do it at the end. I don't know.
I think they should close out. I mean, that's how you bring the house down. Close out. Or their encore. People will probably be like,
"Yeah, part of the encore.
What the hell? Where's our damn song?" I mean, that's all we are. And so,
Beautiful Day. That'll be part of it. We know that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually probably my favorite memory of that Homecoming game was actually the music, more so than even the punt block. I just thought that performance resonated and set the tone for the rest of the night. It was just epic.
Well, I think it set the tone for sure. Now, look, I'm not going to go as far as saying it's more memorable than the punt block, because
for me it is. Maybe not you.
Maybe for you, you can be a contrarian at times. You think the Saints are going to go 15-1. I'm in a panic, so that's obviously we have some differing opinions sometimes.
I'm picking them Sunday. I'm going with the home team.
Oh my gosh! Already? You've already got
turned
that there?
in my pick to Amos.
I turned in my pick, and it's not for the old black and gold. I'm not picking them.
I'm shocked.
You surprised?
I'm stunned. You probably have them losing by 30.
Yeah, it's significant. Not by 30.
I want to go back to this Clyde basically just calling us old, is what he said. If you read,
yes, that's actually exactly what I did.
Read between the lines there. He's basically saying you're old and can't work.
I'm glad Jeff picked up on that real easy.
I'm not that old. Look, I play tennis, and I still have to play in the 18 and under leagues in USTA. I have not hit the 40 and over leagues yet, even though every year I've got plenty of friends who are in the 40 and over league, and they ask me to be on their team. I'm like, I'm not 40 yet. And so there's a countdown for me to be 40. They're salivating for my mediocre tennis to be on their team.
How close are you to 40?
I will be 38 on January 16th. Drew Brees will be 39 on January 15th.
Oh, you all are like two peas in a pod.
We're Capricorns, baby. That's why we get along so well.
Well, Drew is returning to the scene against a team that he lit up, and that's going to be one of my little teas here. Larry's taught me how to tease the audience.
There you go.
Big story coming this weekend. Retrospective on that 2009 game against the Patriots. The last time the Patriots came here for a regular season game, Drew Brees had a perfect passer rating, 158.3. I know Saints fans remember it well, but many people that record these kind of stats and analytics on games think it is the greatest passing performance in modern NFL history.
Wow.
He averaged over 16 yards per pass attempt. That's unheard of.
Per attempt. I'm like forgetting all. From what I remember it was such a demolition, and I think everyone remembers more than anything else that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick went totally against the Steve Gleason mantra and waved the white flag and took Tom Brady out of the game in 6 minutes left and said, you guys are going to win this, and Tom's going to take a break the rest of the game. I don't think that's ever happened probably in Patriots Brady Belichick history. I mean, I don't follow them every game, but I'm pretty sure they're not beaten so badly that they take Tom Brady out. I don't think that ever happens.
Well, it's the only time. I'd have to check in the last year or two my stats, but a couple of years ago, doing some research on that game, it was the first time that a Bill Belichick defense, and that includes when he was a defensive coordinator with the Jets and the Patriots and the Giants, all the way through his head coaching tenure in New England, first time they'd ever allowed 5 touchdown passes through the air. So it was a historic night, and I think the further we get from it, the more special it is.
Because you think back and you're like, wow, that team was really good, and that was when Brady and Belichick were in the midst of, I guess, on the way to dynasty. Maybe they would already been there because they had won 3 Super Bowls by that point.
Yes.
Lost a 4th. They lost, in 2007? So they were in the midst of dynasty land. But you look at that game, and I'll pull a tease, too. I'm writing a column this weekend for on NOLA.com and then Times-Picayune on just, I'm going to take a step back from panic mode and just embrace the greatness that you're going to see in the Superdome. Tom Brady versus Drew Brees. I'm willing to bet it'll be the last time we ever see those two guys in a regular season game across the field from each other. The next time it would happen would be, Tom Brady would be 44 and Brees would be 42. So
I think it's going to happen. I think
you
they're
think
playing
it's
in the mid-40s.
For which team?
I don't know, but those guys aren't slowing down any. But you're probably right. I mean, let's face it. Father Time's going to catch up to both of them. We saw it happen with Peyton Manning. All it takes is one play, and things can go down quickly in that violent world they play in.
I mean, look, we've seen Tom Brady go down in a heap in one play and miss an entire season. Drew Brees, his devastating shoulder injury for him happened in the last game of the year, and somehow he never missed any time. If that would have happened in week 2, he would have missed the whole season. So you just got to put that in perspective and kind of knock on wood. I mean, it's amazing how healthy Drew Brees has been, and that's one of the reasons why Brees and Tom Brady, they're playing this long and they're at an exceptional level despite week 1s. I mean, look, Tom Brady and Drew Brees, not often you see both of them lose in 1 week.
No, and Bill Belichick talked about Drew Brees in his meeting with the local media up in New England yesterday. We'll hear some of that sound in the show today, but one of the things he pointed out, which Sean Payton points out a lot, is that Drew Brees is a remarkable athlete. And I know you and I know that, but I think sometimes he gets shortchanged in that regard. His ability to sidestep the rush and feel the rush with his peripheral vision is remarkable, and one of the reasons why I think he doesn't take a lot of big hits. You just don't see him. He got blindsided against the Vikings when I think it was Everson Griffin got away a hair too early.
I'm talking like .001.
And Griffin was trying to time the snap, because Brees does that little leg raise to signal when he wants to snap, and then Max Unger raises his head, and he just missed it. But, man, that was scary because Brees got completely waylaid from behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, we're going to hear from Bill Belichick in the next segment, as Jeff alluded to. Also, Davante Harris, he has been kind of a, to lack of a better term, a whipping boy from a lot of fans. And actually our own Amos Morale had a chance to kind of catch up with Davante Harris. I'm curious to see how much he plays. But look, I'm going to give him credit, and I want to play the interview, because he had no problem facing the music. So quick interview with Amos Morale. We'll play that in the next segment or later on in the show whenever we get a chance, because we're jammed up. Like I said, Thursday shows and Friday shows are jam-packed. And it's no different here on Dunc and Holder today, because at 10:35 we will go up to Stark, Vegas. We'll talk to Will Salmon from the Jackson Clarion Ledger. He covers Mississippi State. For them, he's the primary beat guy. So we're gonna, whenever we do these matchups, we go for the primary beat guys, and we've been fortunate for them to oblige, and hopefully that will continue. So Will Salmon will come on 10:35, and also under the radar, Curtis Lofton, former Saints linebacker, actually announced his retirement a couple of days ago, and we're gonna have Curtis Lofton jump on the show top of the 11 o'clock hour, just kind of reflect on his career. Of course, he was on that 2013 Saints team that was very well. And look, he came in to the Saints when it was bounty hell. He still signed, and a lot of free agents actually signed that offseason during bounty hell. So he went through the worst, rebounded, and played 8 years in the NFL. And look, one of our favorite guys that we've covered, honestly.
Yeah, he's always been a straight shooter, and as a reporter or columnist, That's what you want. I mean, everybody, I know sometimes we get a bad rap in the media for trying to get the gotcha headlines. Sean Payton calls it the splash headline. But really, you're just trying to get people to speak the truth without undermining their role with the team. That's all you really want. You can do both. And Curtis Lofton was always very good at both.
Yeah, and Lofton, of course, was on the Fox 8 pregame shows in the last 2 preseasons. I think he's doing some work with Oklahoma as well, so he's finding his way into the media world. And then at 11:20, we'll talk with Will Guillory. Look, Pelicans, we haven't even really touched on it. It sounds like they're going to be picking up Tony Allen and some news on the G League team.
Yes.
I know that's
up in Shreveport.
Right.
Lots of stuff happening up there.
And then 11:35, it's Clyde's time to shine, I guess. He's raising the roof.
Raising it up.
I'm glad that's not on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Hopefully you guys talked about me the days I was out, talking about how I, pulled those NFL picks and these college picks. I am on a roll.
Raising
Mr.
the roof.
Millennials raising the roof. Boy,
Wow.
he's so
Hey, man, I'm not a spring chicken either, so.
He's not dabbing or anything, whatever. I don't know what any of that means. But we'll do that in 11:35. We will try to fit in your phone calls. Can't make too many promises today. Like I said, we're jammed up. So, but the number is 504-260-1280 to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. Yep. Oh, cool.
Let's kick it off! Your shot at a trip to our iHeartRadio Music Festival now.
All right, guys. Clyde, leave your volume alone. I need you to jack up Larry and Jeff.
Okay.
Standard data and message rates apply. That's lucky to 200-200.
No, yours is fine.
Jordy Holtzberg, 2 till 4. Is Alabama's dominance bad for the SEC? Nick said, well, there's parity in the league.
Hopefully that works.
Yeah, and then we're going to do...
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, can y'all reach them once you're on the air?
Yeah, Jeff was kind of... He was trying to mess with it while we were on.
It's right within my reach, so I can do it.
Okay. All right, so yeah, we might need to, because, I mean, I can't really tell when we're in queue.
Yeah. Just tell us. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
Let me know, and I can
love you just
adjust
the
it.
same.
For more information.
And then...
Because if it goes up too high, then it gets all distorted and sounds like crap.
Sure.
The Dunc US Kids and the Ad Council.
All right, how the hell do I find this stupid YouTube live stuff of y'all's?
Our feed?
NOLA.com is not making it easy for me.
In less than a
You gotta
minute.
go to New Orleans Saints
Yes. Go to
on
experience.com/scan.
NOLA.com at YouTube.
Are you on Twitter or anything?
Yeah, but not right now.
Well,
I just figured I'd go to NOLA.com and it would help me, but no.
I would thought so, too.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Good point.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled.
Well, yeah, like I clicked on Dunc and Holder, and it's just all,
Stories.
posts, nothing with the live YouTube.
Yeah.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving.
You want to find that for him and
Yeah,
like,
you
email
can
it to
send
him?
him an email
All
link.
right.
Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And then we're going to run through this Belichick sound here, just because I don't know when we have time to do it any other time.
Okay.
By Zip, the polling app that lets
All right, we got 1 minute.
you think. Download the Zip app today. It's Thursday, September 14th. Starbucks introduces
Grav just texted me. He's like, yeah! As I play some YouTube.
Well, he doesn't know that I told you. Like,
77% of men and women who
like
are polling
Graf's being a punk and calling you out.
palette that it takes to
Hey, David, I just emailed you the link.
undertones of
Okay.
And, we
Leave
need
it in
like
London.
a Sports
Apple
1280
is coming out with a new album
or
diagnosed
something.
with Lyme disease.
Yeah, for the studio.
to stick like right in the middle.
okay.
You know what I mean? It'd be
56%
great if
women
we
say
had
yes, but
something.
men were split.
Yeah.
50% thinking she's the best thing in music, with the other 50% saying she is way too complicated. Finally, an app to create world peace, or maybe just prove your point.
All right, 10 seconds.
The massive by downloading Zip, the question answer app in the App Store.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back. 1 day removed from a Camel Wednesday. Should I just do that as referring to the day of the week? 2 days removed from Camel Wednesday.
You have a memory like an elephant on the Camel Wednesday thing.
Camels don't have good memories?
I don't think so. Not that I know. I was a wildlife management major starting out my career in Eastern Kentucky, like wild animals, and I thought it was going to be easy. The first semester, botany, it was incredibly hard, and I bailed out, went into journalism like a smart guy. Anybody can do that.
Not everyone can go wrestle alligators. Look, what about Troy Landry? Do you think those guys majored in whatever?
Troy Landry, who's that?
Hey now.
The guy in Swamp People.
Watch out now. Those are my people.
I know.
I'm not even kidding you. Like, I know Troy, I know Jacob. I actually went to high school with Jacob.
My wife has a crush on one of the Landry boys.
What a surprise.
Yes.
What a surprise.
How does that happen?
We watch Swamp People a lot.
Well, how does she have a crush on one of them?
I don't know. Maybe that's like her rebel side. I don't know. She's probably gonna punch me in the face when she does not punch me.
We've got to find out from Joni which one she has a crush on.
She's gonna be embarrassed that I said that on the air.
I've got to find out.
It's okay. The 20 or so people are listening. It's not gonna matter to them. It's fine.
But wait a second. Troy Landry is just an alligator hunter. He's not a wildlife management major, is he?
He's a superstar. He's a superstar.
But I mean, he's not a guy that's. What I was training to do.
He manages to catch wildlife and shoot them in the head and then gets paid for it.
That's totally different.
Some sort of managing wildlife, right?
I don't think Troy Landry was taking organic chemistry and comparative anatomy wherever he went to college.
You never know. You never.
That's true. I should not speculate or assume or judge in any way, which I think I am right now.
You never know a person. I mean,
you're right. Know. But just because he's out hunting alligators doesn't mean he's a wildlife management major.
He manages something. He manages to get on TV, and he's in the wildlife. Sounds good to me.
I will say this. If he didn't take wildlife management courses, I have newfound respect for him because it was way too tough for me.
You know who I bet never took wildlife management courses is Bill Belichick. I bet you he does have a memory like an elephant. There's no question. He's been around football for umpteen billion years and been incredible at it. He was coaching, not playing.
Incredibly smart coach. One of the smartest coaches probably ever. I think we all agree on that, right?
I think we would agree on that, no doubt about it. But, yeah, Jeff alluded to it, and he got some of the sound from Coach Belichick in his press conference. And even though, look, he's got this reputation of being dull and boring, but there are times where he goes on filibusters and gives insightful answers, and I think I'm looking at the length of the sound bites. It sounds like he was pretty insightful leading up to this Saints game.
Yeah, he was, I think, very respectful of the New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, and the job that Sean Payton's done. One of the things he said, which I totally agree with, so I love that he said it because it's something I've said for years about Sean Payton. Somebody asked him what impressed him most about Sean Payton and what he's done in New Orleans, and he said the fact that he turned around a losing franchise. I think Bill Belichick appreciates how difficult that is to change the culture and perception of an entire organization. And look, it wasn't just Sean Payton. It's obviously Drew Brees too. But I think when Sean Payton, whenever he does leave here, that should be the hallmark of his legacy, is that he changed the culture and perception of a once downtrodden franchise.
Oh, I would agree. I mean, just because look, I can rant and rave about mediocrity, whatever. They won a Super Bowl, and there was a 3-year stretch where they were one of, if not the most dangerous team in the NFL. And that's saying something compared to what this franchise used to be, and they were just a laughing stock.
Yeah, they were a joke. Yeah. They were the Chicago Cubs of the NFL.
They weren't even lovable. They were just losers.
Kind of lovable.
I mean, you wore a bag on your head. You didn't even want to be seen at the games. Like, at least you go to Wrigley Field and like, hey, we're having a party. No one's having a party with the Ditka era or when they're 1-15 in 1980.
They get blown out Sunday. The bags might come back. I mean, they're opening the season with 10 men on the field on defense, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, that's not good. But let's hear what Bill Belichick had to say. Look, again, he spoke with the media. You speak with the media every day, game week, say Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But at a first day on a Wednesday, you usually get some good info. But let's hear what Bill Belichick had to say on his overall view of this year's Saints team.
Okay, we been able to spend a little extra time here on the Saints. Certainly, they deserve a lot of attention. So, a really good football team. I think Sean's done a good job. Obviously, through the years, one of the top coaches in the league. I have a ton of respect for him. offensively, it's really a great team. They do everything well. Good quarterback, good skill players, good running backs, good receivers, tight ends, offensive line. Have a lot of explosive weapons with a great scheme. That's why they lead the league in offense every year. Third down. Make a lot of big plays. They're hard to stop. Defensively, they had a lot of new players. Half the group's new starters, all new linebackers, a lot of speed at the positions. Faster, athletic team, probably than what they had last year. They do a good amount of pressuring, so we're going to have to stand up to the blitzes, the pressures that they run. Take care of the ball. They pursue very well. Got a lot of guys that can run, chase the ball hard, play hard. Dennis does a good job with them. Fundamentals are good. They're a good technique team, and kicking game, obviously, two big legs there. Lots Morstead. Morstead's about as good a punter as this league's ever seen. Tremendous player. Accurate, long, good plus 50. Does everything well. And good returners. All three guys, very dangerous. Big physical unit on special teams. Look like they've really improved that from last year. So, good football team playing at home. We'll have to have a really good performance on Sunday.
All right, that's it.
I took one thing away from that. The fact that Bill Belichick spoke the most about the Saints punter means he thinks that's the best element of their team so far, the punter. That's not good. That's what I'm taking away from that.
I don't agree with that. I think he just loves punters. He's a former special teams coach. He's talked the same way about Johnny Hecker with the Rams, raved over him. I think he just loves to single out specialists because no one else ever does.
Well, let me tell you, he did not spend a lot of time on he just did a blip on the radar as far as, they're a blitzing team. They do this. You want to know why he doesn't want to show that he knows how much they blitz? Well, let me give you a report. It's going to be in my 1st and 10 column, and I'm ruining the tease. I'm going to tell you because I did a blitz report from the game that just happened.
And?
The Vikings blitzed Breeze only 4 times, and he only completed 1 pass for 8 yards, and he got sacked on a 4th play, and it was the illegal hit by Tom Johnson, which, of course, was sketchy at best as a flag. Now, the Saints blitzed 90.
Correct.
Not on purpose.
Correct.
8 of 9 for 142 yards. 4 of those completions were at least 21 yards, and that includes the 44-yard reception by Adam Thielen near the end of the first half. So when the Saints blitz, they get destroyed.
And everybody wants them to blitz all the time.
And everybody wants them to blitz all the time.
And that's why they don't.
Not good.
They don't get there. That's what drives, I think, Saints fans crazy when you watch them. There were a couple times, I don't know if you noticed this, I'm sure you did, where they sent 6 people after it and they didn't get there. They would always be just a step late, and that's been the case for this team for too many years.
Yeah, too many years to say the least. So let's hear what Bill Belichick had to say about having to play the Saints in the Dome.
Probably easier with the cadence and things like that. I mean, they play well everywhere, but come up here and played well down there. So yeah, but it's probably a little bit easier for them to get their substitutions and get in and out of the huddle, and maybe just a little bit quicker. But I mean, it's fast anyway.
And what about Bill Belichick and the Patriots having to try to defend Drew Brees and that Saints offense?
Yeah, well, again, it depends on what they're in, and based on the matchup, that kind of thing.
He smacks his damn lips way too much.
Matchups in man coverage, then it's hard to call man coverage. You don't think you have enough size against bigger groups on the line of scrimmage, then kind of force you to put a lot of guys on the line of scrimmage.
See?
I'm falling asleep.
Whichever way you go, there's pluses and minuses, and depends on what you feel like you can do well, and what you feel like.
10 seconds.
Against that particular opponent. So 1 week it could feel like it's a good thing. The next week you feel like you'd rather do it the other way.
All right.
I've come to the conclusion that Bill Belichick sounds so much better in print than he does on radio or on TV. He's great for us writers.
Can you imagine having a college class with him as your instructor, your professor? I'd fall asleep in every class. It's this monotone. He's like the human fluorescent bulb that's buzzing in the background that puts you to sleep. The white noise.
It's that bulb noise that you hear whenever you're in the LSU practice facility.
Right.
That's in the background of every interview. Clyde, you probably know that buzz very well.
I heard him asleep. It's one of the worst things ever. It's like a nightmare. It's like it. Just won't leave.
It's like it. Oh my gosh, that's got to make my my first and 10 column to a meme that I received, and it's if the Saints want to find the defense, they got to go down the canal of the sewer with the it clown.
Pennywise is waiting.
Hey, anything to get better, just do it. So that's Bill Belichick. I don't think we're going to put you guys to sleep anymore. Why don't we move on and take a quick break right here on the show, and we'll switch gears. LSU, Mississippi State, big college football matchup, SEC opener for both schools. We will have Will Salmon, who covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. Don't forget, top of the 11 o'clock hour, former Saints linebacker Curtis Lofton. Around 11:20, we'll have Will Guillory, covers the Pelicans for us here at NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. And we will have our college picks, 11:35, the segment known as Time for Clyde to Shine, and I'm afraid to see what dance move he's got next. He raised the roof. He showed me the dab. Oh, now he's doing like the wiggly arms that Jeff does.
There you go.
Jeff has perfected that.
Is he going to do the Dougie?
Ooh, I can teach you how to do it.
I don't know how to do the Dougie.
I think that's a line in a Blake Shelton song.
My 6-year-old knows how to do the nay-nay.
Now one man way up.
Yeah, see, and I'm like, go in the other room, son. Go in the other room and nay somewhere else.
The only dance I know how to do is the Charleston.
I could do the running man. I could do the running man and the kitchen. I could do the sprinkler. That's all I got.
The salt and pepper? I could do that.
I could imagine you could do the salt and pepper. And we've gone to hell in a handbasket here. Sports 1280.
That's what Bill Belichick did to us.
Exactly. Turned us insane. NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Barely.
This report is brought to you by the Foundation for a...
All right, what are we doing now?
Other Spruce Catch today.
Salmon.
Beautiful day. Mostly sunny. Temperature up to 86 degrees tonight. A nice night. Upper.
All right, yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, and then ask if it's
as we get
salmon.
into the end of the week and weekend. For
I don't know.
Saturday.
I don't know this guy.
Okay.
20 to 30%, no big deal. High in the upper 80s with lows in the 70s. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm here. Spruce Cats with your.
Do it all, but she gave her all. Compassion. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
Are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, now you can get sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet. That's a savings of $40 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic sildenafil to your door. For information on sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 800-853-6377.
Yeah, it's Will Salmon, kind of like the fish.
Cool. 853-6375.
Louisville took their defense coordinator.
Think data breaches only affect companies? Think again. It could be your data being sold on the dark web. See if you're at risk with a free dark web email scan only from Experian.
Greg Williams,
it costs nothing and it could help you keep your identity.
Well, I mean, I remember he
Start
interviewed
now for free at Experian.com.
before Rob Ryan.
A few years ago.
For the
Hey, I need y'all to bring y'all's mics up again a little bit.
Okay.
Jeez,
we got quiet.
And what did we find? Nothing. Hi, I'm Scott.
Yeah, somebody's got to be screwing around with it, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
The
I really
best
don't
betting
know.
in the world. By cutting out the middleman and selling BollandBranch.com, our award-winning sheets cost less than half of designer brands and are twice the quality. Every set is crafted from 100.
All right, 1 minute.
Okay.
They get softer and softer over time. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. There's no risk. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bowlandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets plus free shipping when you use the promo code OFFER1. That's $50 off plus free shipping right now at bowlandbranch.com, promo code OFFER1. bowlandbranch.com spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com, promo code OFFER1.
So you've got a few cabinets to hang. Few meaning this is going to be a good month. You know what'll make it an even better month? Saving 10% off Hampton Bay cabinets at the Home Depot. Buy any combination of 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets and you'll save 10% off your order. So, enjoy that hang time. 10% off 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets. Select finishes ship.
Coming back.
At the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through October 31st.
We bleed purple, green, blue, black, and gold. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back. Dunc and Holder here at our NOLA.com time-speaking studios here at the foot of Canal Street. And pleased to be joined by Will Salmon of the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, covers the Mississippi State Bulldogs. LSU going to be taking on Mississippi State in Stark Vegas, Davis Wade Stadium, 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. And Will, you probably will be asked about this question for the rest of your life. Will you ever see a 3rd and 93 again in your life? I'm just curious. And I mean, you never know. I mean, you can get 3rd and 99. I'm not sure how that would happen, but that was probably the most insane, ridiculous play you've ever seen live in football. I'm assuming that. Just assumptions.
Safe assumption there. I don't think a couple of safe assumptions actually. That probably won't be duplicated. And secondly, I've never seen anything quite like it. It was hilarious, really. It was very funny to just watch that unfold, like you said, live, not knowing exactly if that ball was ever going to be picked up, for that matter.
What was the reaction after the game? I'm sure it was talked about. What was the Mississippi State's reaction to go from goal situation to 93 yards?
Well, Dan Mullen's a big soccer guy, so he actually had a really good line just about how terrible Mississippi State was at picking the ball up, and they sort of looked like a soccer team out there with their kicking, as opposed to just picking the ball up and securing it. It was mostly just laughter, really, from the players' side, because it's easy to laugh about it when you're the one pinning the team, 87 yards back, and you're up anyway in a blowout win. So it was a very sort of light addition to a blowout win for Mississippi State.
Will, what's the, I guess, early reaction to the start in Starkville? I mean, sometimes going to Ruston, playing Louisiana Tech, that's a solid program. Sometimes that could be a dicey road game. And the way Mississippi State handled them so easily, I think it's got to boost expectations a little bit for this season.
Yeah, I think you're right in some regard. I think a lot of people saw this team and were sort of cautiously optimistic that although the general projection was 6 wins from national analysts for Mississippi State, there was sort of a cautious optimism that this team could get to at least 7 or 8. And I think that's still sort of what the expectation is internally. Now, they look like a team that could be better than that, though, and the expectations in that sense have sort of risen a little bit in that sense just because of how dominant they looked against a team that, like you said, does present some problems for its opponents, especially when you travel to their place. So they were expected to win these 2 games, week 1 and week 2, but it's just the way they looked while doing it has people sort of saying to themselves, okay, maybe this is a little bit better than what we could have anticipated heading into the season.
Yeah, Charleston Southern, the Bulldogs won 49-0, and then Bulldogs versus Bulldogs, the Cowbells, they won 57-21. And speaking with Will Salmon of the Jackson Clarion Ledger, you can follow him on Twitter at Will Salmon. And Will, you look at this schedule, and this is a stretch. The next 3 weeks, it's got to be the gauntlet of the season, and it comes at you right away. Mississippi State's hosting LSU, then at Georgia and at Auburn. And do you think that this part of it could be make or break? I mean, if you go 2-1 in this stretch, Mississippi State's probably going to be feeling really good about themselves here.
Yeah, this defines your season as early as it is. You know how good you are or where you're headed really after, week 6 of the season. And that's good in a sense because, hey, like you said, if you do win 2 of those games, man, you're looking at a really good year probably. But I'm a little bit hesitant because this schedule is just so tough even beyond, you have this stretch. So if you go sort of 1-2, you probably look at like an 8-win season. But I think the one game that Mississippi State is looking to win here would be the LSU game. It's home. I think they feel like they're getting LSU at probably the better time to get them early in the season. So if you lose this game, it's very, very difficult to count up beyond 7 wins because Mississippi State has one of the toughest schedules in the country. Last I checked, I think they were ranked number 14 or so heading into the year. So I'm not sure if that has changed much, but it's a very tough schedule, and these next 3 weeks really define the season for Mississippi State.
Well, what has Todd Grantham brought to that defense over there? Obviously, they played well the first 2 weeks. I'm quite familiar with him, being a University of Louisville graduate, the work he did up there. He reminded me a lot of Greg Williams when he coached the Saints down here. Very aggressive, definitely not afraid to come after the quarterback and try to create turnovers. And that can lead to, obviously, some big plays when it doesn't work. But there's no doubt he's an aggressive play caller on the defensive side of the ball. Have you seen that so far?
Yeah, it's kind of been like a total 180 for Mississippi State's defense, where like last year, they had a first-year coordinator in Peter Sermon, and they played maybe a little bit too more of that prevent defense sort of style. Whereas this is, you have a 26-year coaching veteran here, a guy who knows what he's doing, knows what he wants, and knows what he's looking for too, and what he wants to create. And like you said, that's that sort of rush the quarterback, make life difficult mentality, be extremely physical up front, make plays, generate a pass rush that ultimately leads to some takeaways, and we've seen that. And yeah, it's against 2 inferior opponents from Mississippi State, 2 teams that they should have beaten, they did. But what I was encouraged by, and I think what MSU fans are encouraged by, is just the way they look and sort of like that swagger and confidence that they didn't really have last year at all. And it seems like they have that, and I think that's a credit to Grantham and him being savvy enough or just experienced enough to put these guys in positions that really fit the personnel. And I think we'll see some of that against LSU. I'm not sure exactly what formation package they'll be utilizing here, but I do know that guys will be in position to sort of make plays based on what their skill sets are, and that's what we've seen. We've seen, for example, Gary Green was a guy who was an inside linebacker last year. Grantham has moved him to outside linebacker, and lo and behold, the guy is forcing fumbles, making sacks, and has really been a fixture in the backfield for Mississippi State.
Will Salmon covers Mississippi State Bulldogs for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. Joining us right here on Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280 and NOLA.com. When you say Mississippi State, a lot of people point to one player, and that's Nick Fitzgerald. And, of course, he's one of the better returning quarterbacks in college football right now. I'm looking at some of the game notes, and I would not have known this, that he's one of 3 returning FBS quarterbacks to rush for 1,000 yards and throw for 2,000 last year. And the other 2 were Lamar Jackson and South Florida's Quentin Flowers. And it seems like he's on track of ready to do the same thing. But you're going up against an LSU defense who is pretty known for being pretty stout. So how much do you think Nick Fitzgerald can find success against an LSU unit that's played really well so far?
It's going to obviously be very difficult for him. Last year they really bottled him up well. Mississippi State has not allowed a sack yet, but LSU registered 6 against Mississippi State last year, and I think that this is going to be the day, on Saturday, where that's no longer a 0 for sacks allowed for Mississippi Mississippi State, and that's just the nature of it. That's just what you expect. Life's going to be super difficult for him on Saturday. He knows that. But what Mississippi State really wants to see from Nick this year is just better decision making. Now, you look at the accumulation of stats and yards and all that stuff, and all that's great, but he needs to be a better passer for Mississippi State to be more efficient offensively and be a bit more multi-dimensional instead of just focusing on the run, because in Mullen's spread offense, there's a lot of reads that the QB has to make, and he needs to get better at that. Against La Tech, he started off really slow. I think it was something like 1 for 7, with that one completion being for negative yards. They slowed things down for him afterward, and he rattled off 10 straight completions, but they were all basically screens, some RPO stuff, a lot of underneath stuff. Got him on track. So, yeah, the thing is that they need to. I still think they need to sort of find a way to stretch the field. They haven't been able to do that, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that against LSU, and which should be a very formidable pass rush against him when he is looking to go downfield. So, yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him.
Yeah, Will, what's kind of amazing in this rivalry is just how much LSU's kind of dominated it lately, and they've won a bunch of games over there in Starkville, which is a difficult place to play. I would imagine the environment's going to be souped up for this game because of what you mentioned earlier. The team kind of has raised expectations, and this is the first big home game, first SEC home game. What do you expect in Saturday night?
I think the fans are well aware how huge of a game this is. Yeah, it's week 3, but like I said before, man, your season is almost defined. I mean, I don't want to, call it. I don't want to go too far here, but I don't want to label it, the biggest game of the season already. But you can make the argument that it is, just because if you lose this game, do you really think you're going to go to Georgia and win that game? Do you really think you're going to go to Auburn and win that game? You still have to go to Arkansas. You still have to go to Texas A&M. I know what they're going through, but that's still traveling to an SEC school. And then you got Alabama later on your schedule. So, I mean, like I said before, it's just so hard to count up beyond 7 wins if you don't win this game. And the fans realize that, and they'll be up for it.
All right, wrap it up.
There'll be a lot of clanging going on. It'll be a rowdy atmosphere. And like you said, it makes for a great game to be at. And Mississippi State, the way they handled those two first opponents, has people riled up. They have people, thinking that this could be a better year than what many predicted outside the state.
Will Salmon covers Mississippi State for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. Follow all of his coverage of Mississippi State on Twitter at Will Salmon. Hey, Will, appreciate the time, and enjoy the game on Saturday.
Hey, guys, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Good deal. All right, that's Will Salmon. When we come back, we will touch a little bit more on LSU Mississippi State. Also, don't forget, on Sports 1280, come Saturday, Tulane against Oklahoma. We'll touch on that game a little bit, too. And then don't forget, top of the 11 o'clock hour, Curtis Lofton literally just giving me the thumbs up. He's ready to come on top of the 11 o'clock hour. So awesome to have former Saints linebacker Curtis Lofton on at that point. So come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Join Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground, 4 till 6.
I think when you come to The Neutral Ground, you can expect sports, news, politics, food, music, whatever. Food. I've been to say.
Sports 1280.
New Orleans.
Are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, now you can get sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet.
They're like lighting
That's
couches on fire.
That's $40 per dose.
Mattresses
Marley
and stuff.
Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy
that was
delivering
Donato's
generic
last year.
sildenafil to your door. For information on sildenafil, go to marleygenerics.com or call us at 800-853-6375. That's crazy. That number again, 800-853-6375.
Together, we can turn a stairwell into an ER at a moment's notice. Together, we can turn a rescue ship for refugees into a maternity ward. Together, we can vaccinate 710,000 people in just 11 days.
History's going to show
Together, we are Doctors Without Borders. Doctors Without Borders goes where others don't to provide life-saving medical care. Learn more at doctorswithoutborders.org.
iHeartRadio. All your favorite music. All your favorite stations. All free. Need a break from the world? Open the iHeartRadio app. Pick a song, a playlist, an artist, or even a podcast, and immerse yourself in your own personal getaway space. Sometimes you just need to tune out the world. So tune in to iHeartRadio. Download or open the free iHeartRadio app today.
I don't know. As a small business owner, you're juggling it all,
we could ask Curtis
calls
about
from your personal phone. But with
We are,
Grasshopper,
for
you
sure,
get a
yeah.
business phone number
Totally
and a
forgot
business
about
phone
that.
system
Think
from our
about
mobile app, so you can work smarter, not harder. Grasshopper forwards calls, texts, even transcribes voicemails. Everything you need to simplify your business and stay responsive. With Grasshopper, there's no long-term contracts, and customer support is 24/7. Whether you're starting or growing your business, Grasshopper is the answer.
I'll let him
now get
volunteer
$20 off your plan when you visit grasshopper.com/radio.
Hurricane Harvey has left a trail of destruction across the Gulf Coast with thousands
You are
of homeless
Vegas.
and businesses in rubble.
All right, 10 seconds.
To
Okay,
recover and
10
rebuild,
seconds.
consider making a tax-deductible donation to the Salvation Army. 1-800-SAL-ARMY.
Come and move that in my direction. So thankful for that. It's such a blessing. Yeah.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
Oh, you are my sunrise on
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. And look, Mississippi State, they're playing good football. I am curious to see how they react to LSU's offense, because I don't think they know what's coming. Like, Dan Mullen's been the coach there for almost a decade and used to a Les Miles offense. I'm curious to see how they react to that. And also, don't forget, Arden Key's coming back, and this is the first time you're going to have him this year. I've seen him mock drafts as number 1 overall so far already this offseason. And Jeff, more important than anything else, all of our listeners want to know, you had a chance to talk with Ed Orgeron last night. You went up to the radio show, and we want to know, when Clavon Chason and Arden Key run this cheetah defense, did he steal a name from you? Go. Is this true?
Could not get a straight answer.
Oh, he deflected?
I think it's highly likely, but I need more investigative work done.
But you just went to the source. He just
didn't get a chance to really delve into it.
You're not claiming copyright on it?
No, actually, I don't. You're the one making it into this that it got stolen. I don't think it got stolen. I think he's just taking a name and recognizing clever writing and had fun with it.
Thief. They're going to profit off of the cheetah defense. Watch, LSUsports.net are going to be selling cheetah defense T-shirts by the end of the year.
No, I don't think so.
I'm telling you, they're going to profit.
Nobody's going to buy that.
You never know. They bought Honey Badger. That got bootlegged. I remember even way back when Cecil the Diesel, they were selling bootleg shirts out at LSU. You don't think cheetah defense is going to be sold and you're not going to be profiting off it? You're going to take them to court and you're going to go in front of Judge Judy?
Reminds me of the great Teddy Allen, who was worked here a long time ago, long before you and I were at the Times-Picayune. He was the one that came up with the mailman nickname for Karl Malone. The famous story where he and Buddy Davis, the longtime sports editor at the Ruston newspaper, both of them covered a game the same night. Both of them came up with a nickname. Teddy Allen came up with the mailman, and Buddy Davis tried to push King Karl Malone, and we know history shined on the mailman.
No one knows King Karl Malone.
Buddy Davis did not get King Karl to catch on.
You're trying everything. Let me get this name that's gonna. Who dubbed Phi Slamma Jamma? I think they should get some credit.
It was a Houston beat writer, the Houston Chronicle beat writer. It was on that documentary about Phi Slamma Jamma. I don't know if that was a 30 for 30 or not, but it was. I can't remember his name, but they interviewed him about it. And look, the mailman's one of the great nicknames of all time. So unique
because he delivers.
And I'm sure Teddy Allen never got a cent for that, but he's got it in his heart. He always will have that on his resume. He knows.
In your heart doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't even buy you a bar tab. I mean, that's absurd.
Doesn't matter. He's not in it for profit. Sometimes You're not in for profit. It's part of preserving history. That's part of what we do.
No, it's all about the dollar. It's straight cash homie, Randy Moss.
No, I'm proud of the fact that the Miracle at Mardi Gras was something that I wrote way back in the 90s was it the 90s? When Kentucky rallied.
Don't ask Clyde. He's going to accuse us of being old again.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have to accuse you of anything, clearly.
When Kentucky rallied by 33 points down and beat LSU.
Tony Dunc.
Yes. That game, I wrote about it being the Miracle at Mardi Gras. It happened on Fat Tuesday. And it's preserved in history, in Kentucky history, because no one in Baton Rouge wants to remember that loss.
No one wants to do that.
But in Kentucky basketball history, I think it's hilarious that a Louisville graduate wrote something that is now part of their media guide. It's in their basketball operations.
It always comes back to that. You created this thing for being a Louisville guy, and it's for Kentucky. It all comes back to that.
It's hilarious. I bring it up all the time to my older brother, who's a diehard Cat fan.
1994, by the way.
There you go.
Yes. Unbelievable. Probably one of the worst losses in LSU basketball history. Has to be.
And they love playing that on the SEC network.
They love playing that on the SEC
swear
network.
I've seen that. Watch that one unnecessarily about 10 times
20
over the
seconds.
course of like February, March, and April.
Definitely the horror show. Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Curtis Lofton coming up next here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
All about money.
I was like, your integrity? You can't buy me integrity with your money. I need
the
money.
ironic barista.
You need money to buy a new heart if you need one.
Created a world of crippling anxieties and rock-bottom self-esteem amongst friends. Humble bragging from Sky Traveler windows and applying multiple filters to this bounty and sick brunch of avocado toast.
Underwhelmed by the real now? DirecTV Now gives you entertainment on your terms.
Wait, I can watch live sports from my perch at brunch?
Watch live sports on any screen. Yep.
Will it fit in the loft space I share with 14 roommates?
No bulky hardware needed, so add a 15th.
A revolution has come to pass.
DirecTV Now. Watch live TV with no annual contract or bulky hardware. Compatible device required and sold separately. Your service renews monthly at a minimum of $35 a month until canceled. Limit 2 concurrent streams. Pricing subject to change. Taxes and restrictions apply. See DirecTVNow.com for details.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports Trending now.
NFL Week 2 kicks off tonight as Houston takes on the Bengals, 8:25 Eastern from Cincinnati. Enhancing drugs. So Cushion is out, whereas Bengals first-round pick receiver John Ross is in. He's expected to make his NFL debut tonight against the Texans after missing Game 1 of the season with a knee sprain. The NFL is asking for a ruling today in its appeal of a federal judge's injunction that blocked Cowboys star running back Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension. Elliott is expected to play this Sunday regardless of the ruling. News from the NHL, the Boston Bruins and David Pastrnak have agreed to a new 6-year, $40 million contract running through the 22-23 NHL season. And the Cleveland Indians try to extend their win streak to 22 straight tonight, 7 Eastern, when they host the Royals. I'm Deb Carson.
Hi, I want to talk to you about IRS tax debt. If you owe money to the IRS, you're not alone. Millions of Americans owe money to the IRS. When the IRS comes to collect, they often add penalties and interest to your balance. They also have the authority to garnish your wages and or levy your bank accounts. It's best to have someone on your side to help battle the IRS. For years, Oxford Tax Partners has helped people just like you. If you owe more than $5,000 to the IRS or have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, call Oxford Tax Partners today at 1-866-700-1818 for a free and confidential consultation. That's 1-866-700-1818. Oxford Tax's fees are reasonable, and they will only bring you on if they are able to achieve real savings on your IRS tax debts. So what do you have to lose? Consultation. Learn how Oxford Tax can help you put your IRS tax debt behind you once and for all. That's 1-866-700-1818. 1-866-700-1818.
Sports 1280, New Orleans. Instant replay. Chris Gordy. Mornings.
All right, we got Curtis.
Cool.
He is Coach
1,
Rick
2,
Venturi
3, 4,
jumping on
5,
with us right now on
6,
Sports
7.
1280.
I counted
from
8
coaching
trades
to the media world. You're just
since
take
2000.
over.
Stepped over the line. You know,
Is that right?
The
Yeah.
coaches always kid me. I always say I have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
What was worse, late nights at the office or putting on makeup for TV?
You know, that's a great question. You know, the pressure of coaching. I did it 41
Probably what
years,
turned out to be the
27
coolest
in
trade
the
was the
NFL.
Cedric
And
Ellis
when my
trade
day was
because
done,
they got
I knew it was done, and I had other interests in life.
the
But
picks
I
that they
will say,
traded.
I
They got
love
Cedric
radio.
Ellis and
I'm
Carl
on for
Nix.
an hour on Monday and an hour
And
on
the
Wednesday
Patriots
here
got
in Indianapolis.
Jared
You know,
Mayo,
which
and I don't know
both
how
segments are 15
I forget how long
minutes.
Sean
But you're right.
Crable's
You know, to
career
get
was,
this
but
guy ready takes a
hell,
lot of
Ellis
makeup
and
on
Nix.
that television.
He's like a linebacker from
weekdays
Michigan,
on
I feel
Sports
like.
1280 and the free iHeartRadio app, or catch
And then
up at
in the Ingram trade,
sports1280.com.
they got Ingram, and the 2 picks turned out to be Shane Vereen.
Premature birth
And
is the #1 killer of babies.
The Patriots
Those
traded
who
the
survive
12
often
first
face
rounder to
birth defects and
Cincinnati, and Cincinnati
complications that
took
affect them for
Kevin
life.
Zeitler.
For hundreds of thousands of families
Yeah.
in the United
Fun to
States,
look back at this.
this is the hardest thing they will ever
But
have to
I
face.
think I'm going to rank
And
number
it's even
1
harder on the
the
baby.
2006 trade.
March of
Anything to
Dimes
get
is
rid of
providing
Jonathan
education
Sullivan.
and support to families and
That's
funding
number 1.
life-saving research to give every baby
Yes.
a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchadimes.org.
Yeah, I forgot they traded with the Patriots.
Tomorrow.
As a small business owner, you're
get the
juggling
pick
it
to
all,
take Von
including
Bell.
customers' calls from your personal phone.
Yeah, I
But with
forgot they even-
Grasshopper, you get a business phone number and a business phone system from our mobile app, so you can work smarter, not harder. Grasshopper forwards calls, texts, even transcribes voicemails. Everything you need to simplify your business and stay responsive. With Grasshopper, there's no long-term contracts, and customer support is 24/7. Whether you're starting or growing your business, Grasshopper is the answer. Now, get $20 off your plan when you visit grasshopper.com/radio.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. I trust J&J to protect my home and family.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 50 years. We shield your home from termites, roaches, ants, mosquitoes, and other pests. J&J Exterminating is Louisiana's largest independently owned pest control company. We know what works in Louisiana's climate. Get the shield.
J&J Exterminating.
Yeah.
Never give in.
And DSU can't take
All right,
any
1 minute.
credit for it. And they can't. They just get fined. I don't know if they can get fined. But
immortal words stirred an
it was
entire
passed
country.
like decently. And maybe the FCC just said, "Oh, it's Mora. The hell with it."
Pass it on. The foundation for a better life.
I'm John Hope Bryant, the founder and CEO of Operation Hope. Let one of our HUD-certified counselors walk you
I
through
showed
the
Jeff
process
that
of
Monday
helping you
morning. I
save
had him.
your crisis hotline,
And then
online
even when
at
he comes back and they're like,
operationhope.org,
"No,
or
really
call
on
one
the
of our
air," he's like,
counselors at 888
that was his reaction.
All right, coming back.
Okay.
388-4673.
Hour number 2 of Dunc and Holder. As we're live at our NOLA.com time-speaking studios here at the foot of Canal Street. And pleased to be joined by definitely one of our favorites to have ever been in the Saints locker room, at least from a journalism standpoint, because Curtis always told it like it is. And now that he's away from the game, he's really going to tell it like it is. Former Saints linebacker Curtis Lofton joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. And Curtis, I saw a couple days ago officially announcing your retirement. I know you've been away from the game for a little while, but you seem, every time I've run to you, pretty relaxed with your decision. Just reflect on your career. What are some of the better moments that you've had, whether it's college or in the NFL? Look, because I know at Oklahoma, you were loved, and look, you were with one of the better Saints teams in franchise history in 2013 with the Saints. So just kind of reflect on your football life now that you're stepping away from it on the field, at least.
I think one of the things that allows me to be at so much peace right now is, I think I poured and I reached my full potential. And just looking back over my career, starting in high school, going to such a small school, I had 73 people who I graduated with, which is a public school. And just being in a small town, just really just growing as a human, having the whole town wrap their arms around me, really projected me. And then I get to Oklahoma, and I'm an All-American, and the coaches there really, helped mature me as a man on and off the field, and just making plays, playing in the Texas and Missouri game, just making plays is one of the things that I just enjoy doing, and tackling, and getting drafted by the Atlanta 37th overall, and there, and really just really establishing myself in this league as one of the premier tacklers, and coming to the Saints, and first year here was a little rough. Second year, 13, we really jumped off and had a great start, and just wish we could have just continued that. And then going to Oakland and just appreciating my time there, and just when it came at the end of the day, I tell everybody there's more to life than football. Although I still love football, I'm excited to go into this next chapter of my life.
Curtis, you mentioned when you signed with the Saints, and that was bounty hell. And, I was kind of surprised to see you sign at that time, because I'm like, wow, the Saints must have sold some hopes and dreams, because you knew they were going through some chaos, and the fact that they got you to come in and be their middle linebacker, I was taken aback, because if I was in your situation, I might have been like, I don't know if I want to go there. What kind of spurred you to come to the Saints in such a time of really unrest here in New Orleans?
Well, one of the things is Atlanta was playing games. They didn't, they thought they were going to be able to get me for a cheap deal, and I wasn't about to sign no deal. And so I come down to New Orleans, and, playing, it was like the OU Texas rivalry for me. It's like, no way would I ever step foot in Texas, know the coaches. I wanted to get to know some of the players. I wanted to see what New Orleans was all about. And as soon as I stepped foot off the plane, Steve Spagnuolo, he picked me up, and I really liked that guy and just everything he had to say, and he was upfront and honest with me. And then went out to eat with Joe Vitt, Mickey Loomis, and Sean, and I actually asked the question. I said, "Hey, what's all this stuff going down with the bounty, and what's going to happen?" They said, "Well, it's like weapons of mass destruction. They didn't find anything. They're not going to do anything." And so, I was like, "Okay, good." And then I got back, and I just felt really comfortable. I felt at home here, and I told my agent, I said, "Get the deal done." And it was, as soon as I signed, it seemed like the next day, all the bounty sanctions hit. And
you're like, uh-oh, buyer's remorse.
No, at the same time, I said, hey, players win games. Coaches, yes, having a great coach, will help you win some games. But at the end of the day, it's all what the players do on the field. So, in my mind, I was like, hey, I'm just going to go out and take care of what I took care of. And it's kind of like, once you make your decision, you stick by it, and that's what I did. And, I've been happy with this decision. Of course, I still live here, too, and that's how much I love New Orleans.
Curtis, one of the most remarkable statistics, I think, from your 8-year career is you played in every game. You didn't miss a game. You started every game but one in your first 7 seasons between the Falcons and the Saints. And I just think that's such an underappreciated statistic or phase of the game, being available and dependable and reliable, especially at the position you played, where you were colliding with players, whether they're offensive linemen blocking you or ball carriers you were tackling, every play just about. I can imagine that would have to be one of the things you're most proud of.
Oh, that's definitely one of the things I hang my hat on, because I always put the team before I put myself. And there's plenty of times where I had a torn lateral meniscus. I had a herniated L5. I needed a wrist reconstruction. My ankle needed reconstructed. But one thing about me is I never wanted to let the guys down on the team or the coaches. And if I could play and if it didn't hurt the team, then I wanted to be out there. And I just took that with me throughout my entire career. And, I love the game so much, and it's given me so much that, I just wanted to play it in the right way and play hard. And, I think that showed.
Joined here by former Saints linebacker Curtis Lofton right here on Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280 AM and NOLA.com. Curtis, where were all those scoops? I mean, look, you were frank with us in the media, and now you're telling us everything that happened to you. Come on, man. We needed scoops. We needed to know how you were playing. You know, we could all be at ESPN together. Come on.
Hey, you know, I'm not one of those guys. If I put my name on, if I tell you something, I want to put my name on it.
This is true.
I don't want to be one of those anonymous, this guy said this, anonymous player. And plus, you know, hey, you guys didn't need to know that. You know,
I know.
I got a kick out of sometimes you be like, oh, man, this Curtis Lawson guy, it looks like he's struggling. He's made a loss of step. But you didn't know that, hey, I needed to have double knee surgery, and I was still out there trying to play. It's just like little things like that I don't think that the media or, you know, fans know that what players go through just to continue to play.
Curtis is doing work right now. Great work, by the way, as an analyst for our media partners at Fox 8. And Curtis, what was your reaction and analysis of the opening loss to the Vikings?
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, it kind of went the way that I thought it was going to go. I said it during the preseason. Juan asked me, he said, what do you need to see from this offense? And I said, well, in the big games against good defenses, they move the ball great from the 20 to the 20, but something happens and they break down in the red zone. And field goals don't win games. And, you know, everybody was like, oh, no, this offense is fine. We got so many weapons. But another thing is, if you look at the game, they have troubles at the offensive line. And one of the things that how you get that offensive line settled is you run the ball and let those guys get their confidence. But, you know, the Saints are built around the pass. We got a great quarterback in Drew Brees, so I understand that. But I would like to see him run the ball a little more. And then from the defensive standpoint, you know, they got a lot of young guys, so you expect some mental errors, but I didn't expect that many mental errors. But at the same time, you know, that pass rush that we were seeing during the preseason, it was getting there in 4-5 seconds. And elite quarterbacks get the ball out in around 3 seconds, and I think we've seen that from – I'm going to say Sam Bradford. He's not one of the elite guys, but he's in the top tier of quarterbacks. He just had some bad luck with being injuries. And I think it really exposed some things. But, you know, I was able to go up and do some coaching for a day or two with the Saints, and I can tell you this, that coaching staff is probably one of the best around with details and just getting these guys ready. And, you know, the generic line that you'll hear every player and every coach say is, you know, we're in a race to get better from week 1 to week 2, but using that approach, I think the Saints will really make a jump, and they'll have to because the Patriots are coming to town this week.
Curtis, Oklahoma put it to Ohio State, so much so where I think the Oklahoma flag is still in the middle of Ohio Stadium. What do you make of that performance and the way Oklahoma has really come out and jumped off the mat, especially with Bob Stoops stepping away so suddenly, and now there's new leadership, and it seems like Oklahoma is one of the best teams in the country right now.
Well, I will agree with you. Oklahoma is one of the best teams in the country right now at the moment, but I just want to go back and look at this Ohio State game. I think now this is just me being everybody's like, "Oh, Curtis, you're always so negative." But no, I think Ohio State was a little bit overrated. They don't have the players that they had in the past. They lost a lot of players defensively from last year, and I'm not really sold on this quarterback. But if you look at what Oklahoma did, going into a hostile environment, you know, everything that could have went wrong. Fumbles, throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, missed field goals, and they overcame all that adversity to win a huge game. And you look at Lincoln Riley. I went down a few times last year and got to talk with him. He's such a great guy. He's humble. He's hungry. And he's what the team needed. And he was handpicked by Stoops. And at the same time, he has 7 seniors on the offensive line, or 7 returning starters on the offensive line, 9 on defense returning. So he has a team that is empowered and ready for a championship run.
Okay, this week they've obviously got the Tulane Green Wave, Curtis. We want to get your thoughts on that. But I wanted to ask you, the defense is what stood out to me watching that game against Ohio State. And I just saw this stat. 1/3 of Ohio State's 69 plays went for 0 or negative yards or resulted in a turnover. Are they going to have time? I know that they should get by Tulane. Let's face it, they're a heavy favorite. I think 5-touchdown favorite. But they are playing a unique offense here, and in a short week like this, it can give them a little bit of trouble. I would think Oklahoma's got them overmatched just in personnel alone.
Well, when you look at playing on a short week, it may be a short week, but at the same time, throughout the training camps, and you always mix in a little bit of things that. So this week we're working Ohio State. Next week we're going to work Tulane, and then the following week, whoever we play, we're going to work on them and just kind of get a little taste of what they like to do. And so when you come and play these teams on down the road, you have a familiarity with these teams and have an understanding of what they like to do best. And so it's not as difficult to go and play games on a short week.
All right, Curtis, one more question, and we're doing this selfishly because, of course, once a certain former Saints reporter found out who was coming on the show, she immediately jumped to Twitter, and she wants to debate where Sam Walton is from again. And just explain to our audience how you embarrassed Catherine Terrell, won a bet, and she had to pay up. This is inside baseball kind of talk we're having here.
Yes, well, see, Catherine, she doesn't understand history and know, but so I'm from Kingfisher, Oklahoma, and growing up, when you go into Kingfisher, there's a sign that says, "Welcome to the birthplace of Sam Walton," which is, we all know, is the founder of Walmart. And, later on down in his life, he moved to Arkansas, and that's where Walmart's headquarters is actually at. Catherine thought that just because that's where Walmart headquarters was, that's where he was from. And so she wanted to bet. And so, we bet. I was like, hey, let's bet a body wash. I'll bring whatever kind of shampoo or whatever you want, and you bring me a body wash. And so, of course, she lost, and she brought me this Princess Strawberry body wash. And I used it. It actually smelled really good, and it didn't make any tears in my eyes.
And you proudly displayed it in your locker for years. Proudly.
Yeah, it's a trophy.
A victory over Catherine Terrell, who never wants to back down from an argument, ever.
I'm impressed, Curtis, that you actually got her to pay up, because she's lost multiple bets to me, and I've never seen anything. So that shows the respect she has for you.
Well, I gave her the depth there, and hey, you better. It's like when you guys see me after one of those games we lost, and you come and ask one of those, I say, stupid questions.
Not me.
I just look at you.
Not me. A former New Orleans reporter. Never me.
Oh no, never you.
Curtis Lofton right here on Dunc and Holder. Hey, Curtis. Appreciate the conversation. And when they say you're trying to be negative, you're actually just trying to be real, and you sound more like us every day. So just appreciate now you know where we're coming from.
Don't say that.
Oh, come on.
Don't make me say I sound like the media. Oh man.
You sound like me. Is that even worse? I think that's worse. Sorry, buddy.
I think that's worse.
Sorry, buddy.
I take that as a compliment, guys.
And I'm sure we'll talk to you again later. You're getting pretty good at this media thing. So, yep, you're in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Exactly.
Sounds good to me, guys.
Exactly. All right, Curtis, appreciate the time.
No problem.
All right, Curtis Lofton here, right here on the show. I do remember some tough losses, and you go up to him because he's someone who's not going to sugarcoat it, and you'll get the stare from him. You'll get it because he was bent. That's how ingrained he was. Win, lose, you could just see the results of his career, why he's the way he is.
And that's why he's good as a media analyst now. That's why he's doing such good work at Fox 8. he's not afraid to tell it like it is, and so often it's difficult for players to speak the truth because there's so much pressure on them to toe the company line. They really have to have skins on the wall to feel comfortable enough to speak their mind. And it usually takes veteran players like Curtis Lofton, guys that have some security that are willing to speak the truth. And I always respected him for that, and he's doing great work right now at Fox 8 in the same role.
Absolutely. So let's take a quick break right here on the show. We're running a little behind, but hey, that's okay. Long enough. We've still got plenty enough time for Clyde's time to shine. I mean, it rhymes enough, right?
It really does. It sounds like it's going to be a fantastic addition to the show.
We can't cut it now. You're winning, and
nope,
that's all we can do.
Trust me, I'm ready to go.
We can just hope for your picks to go in a disastrous mode. But come up next, let's talk with Will Gary of NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune on some Pelicans news on the court and, hey, on another court, probably up in Shreveport with the G Leagues. Let's talk with Will next here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder. Yeah, he's going to send you Will's number. I don't know how it's not saved on my phone.
Wines from around the world, great food and live entertainment. It's all part of the second annual Wine on the River.
That's
November
the type
11th
of,
at Audubon Aquarium Plaza. Get your ticket for only $49.
Sometimes I get kind of put off, like, on the spot.
We're calling Will Guillory?
Yes. Jeff's going to send you the number.
I think I got his number. Hold on.
Okay.
And
what's up, Will?
Last year, corporate were up 40%.
Yeah.
This year, it could be worse. Find out if
Send
your
it
data
if you don't
isn't
have it.
listed with a free dark web email
when he
scan
can
only
just,
from
like,
Experian.
hey, what do
In
you
less
think
than a
about
minute,
this?
you'll know if your identity is
And he
at
can
risk.
just, like,
Go to
elaborate.
Experian.com/scan to help keep your identity yours with
honest
Experian.
about everything.
It's less than 2 weeks away. Our sold-out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Friday and Saturday, September 22nd and 23rd at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Listening to win a penthouse at Aria Sky Suite and a $10,000 gift card from our marquee sponsor, Capital One.
Let's go! Looking for more fun at the iHeartRadio Music Festival? Then download Voice Bite. The new app lets you use your voice to win prizes, interact with personalities, and share your festival experience. Stop typing and start talking. Download the Voice Bite app now.
It's Macy's One-Day Sale Saturday with a preview day Friday with amazing deals of the day. Take 20% off dresses, jumpsuits for her, men's suit, dress shirts, sport coats, and more. 50 to 70% off. Take 25% plus an extra 10% off watches from Citizen and Florida. Take 30 to 50% off almost all shoes for her and select cookware. $9.99 after $10 mail-in rebate. Earn Plenty points. 3 Macy's One-Day Sale. Plenty. Lots of points. Lots of places. One rewards program. Savings off regular and sale prices. Exclusions apply.
So you've got a few cabinets to hang.
I mean, it's awesome.
This is going to be a good month.
That sounds like exactly
what'll
like
make it an even better month?
Well,
Saving 10% off Hampton Bay cabinets at the Home Depot. Buy any combination of 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets, and you'll save 10% off your order. So, enjoy that hang time. 10% off 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets. Select finishes ship in as few as 2 days at the Home Depot.
All right, coming back.
We're doing valid through October 31st.
Okay.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Dave, are you trying to make me have nightmares?
Yes.
Because thanks to Despicable Me 3, I've heard this song at least 15,000 times because my oldest son plays it all the time, and he dances around like the Trey Parker villain in it, and I've must have heard bad far too many times.
Michael Jackson is still the king of pop.
I think I'm going to have to drop the headset, and I'm going to have like convulsions because I've heard this way too many times. We got to get rid of this. Got to. Country Fried Friday every day. Just no more Michael Jackson bad. Anyway, back to my non-ranting and talking about things that make me very upset. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's hit up Will Gary, NOLA.com. The Times-Picayune covers the Pelicans for us, and we're kind of got lost in the shuffle. But look, the Pelicans adding another guard, a veteran guard, someone who has been with the Memphis Grizzlies for a while, but it sounds like the Pelicans are going to pick up Tony Allen. What does that do with the lineup, and what other moves do you feel like maybe could be coming down the line? We've heard a lot about possibly getting Dante Cunningham, but it looks like Allen is going to be a New Orleans Pelican.
Yeah, with the injury to Solomon Hill, that was obviously a huge one because that was the team's top wing defender. Really a guard-heavy roster right now, so having as many wing defenders as you can was huge for them, and losing Solomon Hill was big. He's probably going to be out maybe all the way until All-Star break, maybe even after that. So adding Tony Allen, I mean, that's one of the top defenders in the league on the perimeter, a guy that's been on all defensive teams 6 times in his career. So he's considered one of the top defenders in the league. The only issue is he's not also considered one of the least productive shooters in the league as well, along with Rajon Rondo. So Pelicans are to find a way to kind of get those two guys to work well together. But, I mean, if you're just looking for defense, Tony Allen is obviously one of the top guys in the league, and I think that's a pretty good addition for this team considering when they got him.
Yeah, Will, he's the kind of guy I can see him fitting right in with that rest of that lineup, defensively especially. That's his role, but I think Alvin Gentry has plugged in about as well as you can that gap that was created by Solomon Hill, because now this team really has the potential to be, I think, an elite defensive team because Rondo has those long arms. He's always been a great defender out at the point. We know Drew Holiday is an elite defender, and while Cousins isn't known for his defense, Anthony Davis, one of the top shot blockers in the league, you got a lot of multiple kind of guys that can guard multiple positions, and Allen fits right into that mix.
Yeah, and this is another example of Dell Demps just showing how much he wants to kind of zig with this roster while everybody else is kind of zagging around the NBA, where much of the NBA is going more towards offense, more towards smaller lineups, more towards these groups with multiple 6-7 positionless basketball kind of guys. And over here in New Orleans, Dell Demps is going guard heavy. He's going defensive guys. He's building his team around 2 big guys in the middle that's going to score a whole bunch of points. So if there's anything about we don't know much about how this roster will look, but we know it'll look pretty much different than anybody else in the league. And I think that's something that's appealing to Dell Demps and Alvin Gentry. And I think that's something that they want to use it as an advantage. Is whenever teams kind of play the Pelicans, it's going to be something different than they see on a night-to-night basis.
Well, Gary, NOLA.com, the Times Picayune covers the Pelicans for us here at joining us right here on Dunc and Holder, Sports 1280 and NOLA.com. I'm kind of surprised at maybe the story that you wrote yesterday as far as the Pelicans and the G League, and we've talked with you, and Jeff and I has talked about this on the show, that look, every NBA team sounds like they're going to get into the G League and have their own team, and Shreveport seemed like a shoo-in to get this, with Pensacola being involved in this as well. But it sounds like there might be a little hitch in the road. What's going on with Shreveport and a vote basically against a new building?
Yeah, it's a peculiar situation because, like you said, it seemed like once all the finalists kind of dropped out and it came down to Shreveport and Pensacola, that Shreveport kind of was the destination that made sense, especially considering that it seemed like there was a good shot that they would be building a new arena in Shreveport, particularly just to be the home of the Pelicans G League team. So when that kind of fell apart, it was kind of a result of, a $30 million project kind of turned into a $100 million project with private investors kind of jumping in and kind of saying, hey, we want to make this more of a sports complex where we can host multiple sporting events rather than just a basketball arena. And once the city council of Shreveport kind of saw how big this project just continued to grow, they kind of looked around and said, hey, maybe it isn't a good idea to kind of invest this much money in something that who knows how much it'll really help the community, or if it will at all. Maybe it'll just be another big building that they're kind of losing money from. So it seems, from what I've heard, Shreveport is still in the picture. The team doesn't have any issue with going to Shreveport, but it kind of seems like they've kind of hit a hitch in the road here with kind of the hopes of building a new arena. And as of right now, I would say it looks like they're probably going to have to start that whole process over if they hope to build an arena for the Pelicans G League team.
Well, I know Pensacola was also in 2019 wherever they played. I'm thinking now this thing might get pushed back a year, don't you think? Because this process has kind of been reset with this city council vote.
Yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And while the target date has always been 2018-19 to begin the G League team, I think the team would be open to pushing it back to the 19-20 season just to make sure they do this thing right. You know, it's just like we said before, it seemed like Shreveport was going to be the spot, and now that that's kind of falling apart, they're kind of, you know, picking this thing up from almost square one, and it's hard to say, hey, we're going to just take whatever the best spot is for 2018-19 because they want to do this thing right, and they want to make sure that it's a functional system where they cannot kind of get guys going and coming, because last year an issue with Cheikh Diallo was a guy that spent most of his time in the D-League last year, but the issue with that was that the Pelicans didn't have a D-League team, so he would have to fly to Charlotte, North Carolina whenever he wanted to play in the D-League, so it's hard for him to be a part of the team while flying back and forth to Charlotte. So there's value in having, you know, a G-League team locally where guys can kind of go back and forth without having an issue. So I think it's important for the organization to kind of get this thing right, and like you said, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it went back to 1920.
And Will, finally, last question. We're talking to Will Guillory, Pelicans beat writer for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune here on Dunc and Holder. And Will, it seems to me that Adam Silver, I know right now a lot of fans probably are not thinking a lot about the G League, and it hasn't been very high profile in the past, but I think this is one of the big missions for Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is to build this developmental league into something, another source of revenue. And I could see a point down the road when all these teams have their own developmental league team, and potentially them, and Larry and I talked about this yesterday, Will, on the show, the league going to a sort of a baseball rule where you can go straight out of high school and play in the NBA, to where this could become much more high profile, and whatever city gets this D-League team for the Pelicans, it could be something that's going to be a lot more interesting to fans, because you could have top elite recruits going to play there as opposed to jumping straight to the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think pretty much on all sides, everybody kind of looks at the NCAA one-and-done rule and kind of sees that it's not working well. It's not, I mean, it's working well for the Kentuckys and the Dukes of the world because they bring these huge stars in, they compete, they sell jerseys, and those guys kind of move on. But for everybody else, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of just made the process a little dirtier than it maybe has been in the past. And I think one solution a lot of people looked at is maybe NBA teams don't want to draft these guys straight out of high school. Maybe that's too big of a risk. So if you don't want to go to college, going straight to the G League would be an option. And I think with the NBA being such a star-driven league, a big way to kind of boost the G League would be to kind of insert some of these star players straight into the G League. For like a Ben Simmons, if he didn't want to go to LSU, if he goes straight to the G League, then that's a star every night he plays. You know, that's something that people are going to want to see. And as of right now, the G League are kind of built mostly of guys that kind of on the fringe of NBA rosters, guys that you're not going to be too excited to see on a night-to-night basis. But if you see some of these big five-star high school recruits all of a sudden on NBA G League teams, then that ultimately just rises the attention for everybody else in the league. So I think that'll be a really good option. But the only issue is a lot of these guys would probably end up making more money if they just went overseas rather than going to the G League. So I think they will kind of have to work that out and figure out how to make that work. But I think that ultimately is probably where the NBA hopes to go, is that they can make this G League thing into really something much bigger than it is right now.
Will Guillory, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune, Pelicans beat writer. Follow all of his great coverage on Twitter at Will Guillory. Hey, Will, appreciate the time as always, and take care, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I just want to make sure I hear when the body wash bet goes down for this Clemson-Louisville game this week.
Oh,
correct?
my. Body wash. Woo!
Jeff. We might have to make a little wager on that, Will. You sound like you're going with the Clemson Tigers.
My cousin used to play at Clemson, so I'm more than happy to.
All right, yeah, we'll talk off the air about that.
All I know is Boogie Cousins has Will's back. Always has Will's back.
Will?
See? Always.
That's right.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, guys.
All right, let's take a break right here on the show, and Clyde's time to shine is en route.
Jeff, all day. We're so close.
Jeff,
we're waiting all show for this.
We've given him. Here's the thing: we've given him a bad advantage because he picks the games.
And this week was very tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It was very tough to come up with these 10 games.
Oh, that's not good.
He picks the games. Not only that, he sits over there and researches. He's probably got like the goldsheet.com called up. He's getting all kinds of insider tips. He's probably subscribing to Bovada. And we're over here putting a show on.
Exactly. Sneaky Clyde, as always.
Always.
Come on back. Sports1280 NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. College picks coming up on Dunc and Holder.
So I got him strolled over to the other side of the cantina.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is brought to you by the Foundation for a Better Life.
From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz.
How far do you think we can push?
Mostly sunny, temperature up to 86 degrees tonight. A nice night, upper 60s on the North Shore, lower 70s south. As we get into the end of the week and weekend for your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, rain chances coming up just a bit, 20 to 30%, no big deal. High in the upper 80s, and lows in the 70s. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
When Marlon Shirley was 5, he lost his foot. Today, as the world's fastest amputee, he runs the 100 meters in less time than it takes to listen to this. Overcoming. Pass it on.
No, I'm just thinking
the Foundation for
break
a
it
Better
down about
Life.
49.
Hi, I want to talk to you about IRS tax debt. If you owe money to the IRS, you're not alone. Millions of Americans owe money to the IRS. When the IRS comes to collect, they often add penalties and interest to your balance. They also have the authority to garnish your wages and or levy your bank account. It's best to have someone on your side to help battle the IRS.
I have overall records. Of course I do.
It's the part of the segment, if
like
not
you.
to embarrass
if you owe more
me.
than $5,000 to the IRS or have
Pulling up the
multiple
rear-
years of
pulling up
unfiled
the
tax
rear holder
returns,
over here.
call
At least I
Oxford
can
Tax Partners today at
take it.
1-866-700-1818
we appreciate
for a
you
free and
Usually-
comprehensive consultation.
All right, 1 minute.
Okay.
66700-1818.
How far can I push this segment? Should I break it like 49?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want to do for the last segment.
I mean, it's just
Call
going to be
Oxford Tax
whatever.
Partners today
Nothing.
at 1-866.
Well, then do whatever you want, pal.
So let's make this one
Your
longer.
name's on the
and then
show,
we'll
not
come back
mine.
for a short
This
one.
can help you
We'll
with
go into the
IRS
picks on
tax
this.
debt behind
No,
you
we're doing
once
picks
and
now.
for all.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
1-866-700.
It's going to take a little while. That's what I'm saying. You know how we ramble during this picks.
We'll figure it out.
Well, just like while you're giving picks, just kind of let just say, oh well, we got 3 more games. We still got to pick 4 more games. Just let me know where we're at.
Yeah, Clyde, just say game
and,
1.
and then I'll be
game
like, all right,
2.
hurry up, buttheads.
Yeah, it's like bear and kills.
Yeah.
Savings like this you can take to the bank.
Whatever.
Unbelievable quality, unbeatable prices. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Offer valid September 11th through 17th. Must enter Pro Extra phone number at checkout for discount. See store for details.
Friday shows too.
Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280.
Music into college picks. Drama time. I'm surprised they just don't play the clown music behind my picks. That's what I'm expecting.
Well, I mean, we could try to find yakety sax because I mean, it would work just as well.
Circus, maybe some circus, Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey circus.
Exactly. Or just the consistent Price is Right horn. Just drop it on me every time. Exactly. All right, Clyde, let's get started. What are the overall records? It's the segment of the week where I'm just embarrassed. So go
You
ahead.
should be because you are pulling up the rear as always. Record so far, clearly yours truly in the lead. I know you're not surprised. It's fine. At 13-7, of course.
13-7.
The esteemed Jeff Duncan is at 10-10, 500, which is really good. And then of course Larry 9-11.
Oh, I'm only a game behind Jeff.
Yeah, that's until we get through this week, brother. So starting with game 1, UCLA is a 3-point favorite at Memphis this week.
Only a 3-point favorite at UCLA. Taking UCLA. Josh Rosen, I trust.
That line seems too small, which indicates to me it's a trap game, and I'm taking Memphis.
There we go. See, this always happens.
Recognize the trap, identify the trap, use the trap to your advantage.
See, that's why I trust Jeff with these things now, clearly, after these first 2 weeks. Memphis, absolutely going that way. Again, Larry, I just don't understand.
There we go.
One game that, unfortunately, we will not get this week that I was hoping that we could get, but, of course, postponed because of Irma. Miami FSU would have been this week.
That would have been the premier game of the week.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So none of that this week. So we move on. Texas at USC. USC is a 15.5-point favorite.
Woo. Jeff, I'm going to let you go first. Maybe I'll learn something.
I just saw a great stat.
Oh, no.
Sports Illustrated.
Here we go.
Tom Herman is 6-0 as a head coach when he faces a top 25 team, not 6-0 against the spread outright. That was when he was at Houston. I like the Longhorns.
Clyde, I'm going to let you go. I need to learn something.
Gosh,
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
I mean, honestly, when you look at this one, I mean, you have to talk about what Texas has done the first 2 weeks, and then you have to talk about a USC team that's probably finding its stride. 15.5 points is still probably a lot. However, I think USC is probably good for it. I just don't see how Texas can keep this game close with no defense, so I'm going with USC on this one.
Where's the game?
It's in
Is that USC?
It's at SC.
I'm going to go Texas. What the hell?
Oh.
Vince Young, you.
You could just see
he
could have gone either way on that pick.
I'm like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's all I do.
Take a coin out and let him flip it.
That's not so fair. All right, guys. The next game is an SEC matchup: Kentucky at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 6.5-point favorite.
No need to wait here. South Carolina will drub the Wildcats, and I will love every second of it. I might record it just to watch it again.
That's fair. You're going to enjoy it so much?
I like watching Kentucky lose more than I like watching Louisville win, so yes, I will.
Okay. Well, there's that. I'm going with South Carolina as well. Larry?
Run this by me again.
Kentucky at South Carolina. South Carolina is a 6.5-point favorite.
Kentucky. Anything to go against Jeff with Kentucky and Louisville, I'm going
Contrarian
Kentucky.
over here.
I'm going Kentucky. They're gonna come out. What has South Carolina done? Nothing.
Yeah, they beat North Carolina State in their opener. That was a good win.
That was a very good win.
Yeah, they're due for a letdown. Kentucky.
Okay. All right. Next game. This one has SEC flair, but a little SEC Big 12 action. Kansas State at Vanderbilt. Kansas State is a 3.5-point favorite on the road in Nashville.
Herbie T.O.P.
I'm going K-State. Herbie T.O.P.U. I'm going Kansas State.
Okay.
I'm going Vanderbilt. SEC.
Homer.
SEC.
Homerville. Here.
8 bowl games. Every game's a bowl game in the SEC.
That's true. I'm actually going to go with Larry on this one. I think I'm going to go with Kansas State. I think I'm going to go with
the first smart pick I've made all day.
I think I'm going to go with that one. All right, guys. The next game, little SEC Big 10, Purdue at Missouri. Missouri is a 7.5-point favorite in Como.
I can tell you there was a bet that I don't know of, but Drew Brees discussed a bet that him and Chase Daniel had something on the line.
That makes sense.
Oh, they've got to have a bet on this.
Oh, there's no doubt. You know Drew's not going to let this fly.
Gamble? Is that like does he have any vices?
He did say that it is within league rules, the wager they have. He made that blatantly clear yesterday.
So clearly it's gift cards to possibly Jimmy John's, walk-ons, whatever else he has.
A case of Pepsi, a night out with One Direction, whatever.
All right. So, gents, picks.
I'm going with Purdue, getting the 7.5, primarily because they're coached by former Louisville quarterback Jeff Brom.
That has nothing to do with what but I'm going to take Purdue too. I think Missouri is just no. I'm not buying Missouri at all. I'll go Purdue.
Make it 3 for 3. I'm going to go with Purdue as well. All right, guys. Next game, Illinois at South Florida. South Florida is a 17.5-point favorite at home.
Is Lovie Smith still at Illinois?
Yes, he is.
Oh boy, that's not good. And Charlie Strong's at South Florida.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh,
Illinois
boy.
is 2-0. It's a battle of unbeatens. Illinois is 2-0. South Florida is 2-0. South Florida is ranked 22nd in the country going into this game.
Illinois. Come on. They're that big of a home dog? I'm going Illinois.
I thought I said
South Florida. South Florida is the 17.5-point.
Then I changed my mind. South Florida.
I'm with you. I'm laying the points with South Florida. That's going to be a big game. It'll be an emotional game after Hurricane Irma. There'll be all kinds of stuff going on down there. They're going to roll.
Yeah, I agree. South Florida. Probably the biggest non-LSU matchup in the SEC this weekend. Tennessee against Florida. Florida is a 5-point favorite in the Swamp.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Because I don't buy either one of those teams.
Can we not pick either team?
I know. Can I pick a push? Does that
you want to pick the Meteor? That's fine too.
Right, exactly.
Tell you, when in doubt, take the points. When in doubt. You always take the points when in doubt. I'm going with Tennessee.
I'm going with Tennessee too. I just think Florida, they can't do anything on offense.
It's going to be a low-scoring game.
Right.
Well, that's the question. You're right. Like, if it's going to be a low-scoring game, do you go with Florida and the points? Do you go with Tennessee?
Wait, does Florida have a bunch of suspended players back?
I think they're supposed to get most of their suspended starters from the game against Michigan back this week. So that could change it up.
I'm still taking the points. I'm sticking with Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tennessee as well. I can't even front. All right, so another Jeff special. Clemson at Louisville.
Here we
Clemson is a 3-point favorite on the road. Going to Papa John's Stadium.
The oven. It'll be hot in the oven, baby.
The oven.
I'm taking Clemson. I think Clemson.
What?
I think they'll steamroll Louisville.
Wow.
I've seen enough of Louisville's defense to know that they're not up to the task.
I think this is reverse mind tricks on Jeff. He wants me to pick Louisville.
Right, that's what it is.
He wants me
Yeah,
to.
look, they have the puncher's chance with the quarterback, who's an incredible talent. It's like Drew Brees. You always have a chance when you have a great quarterback, and Lamar Jackson, he's going to have to carry Louisville. They have a huge edge at quarterback because I think Brian Kelly's the new quarterback at Clemson. I wasn't impressed really with their offense, but their defense is lights out. Didn't they sack?
They crushed Auburn.
Yeah, Stidham.
They went nowhere. I think they got like 120 yards of total offense.
It was one of the lowest offensive outputs at home in 40 years for Auburn, I believe.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, they're going to get after Jackson, but Jackson's so elusive. He might be able to make some plays with his legs, but I don't think Louisville can stop anybody, and I don't think they're going to stop Clemson.
Fine, Clemson, fine.
3 for 3.
Fine.
All right, guys. So we get to the local standouts, and of course, we're going to go to Norman, where Tulane will walk into Memorial Stadium as a 34.5-point underdog.
Oh, 34.5?
34.5.
Ooh,
0.5.
Not 35.
They're trying to get you with that half point.
They might sucker man.
Working on words.
They might sucker man.
It's working.
We're never
quite
surprised
well.
with these things.
Ooh.
I love the Green Wave. I love them in this game. I think Oklahoma will win, obviously, but I think it'll be closer than people think.
I'm going to go the Hullabaloos. Why not? Todd's my friend. Why not? So they'll lose by 33.
The one prediction I can accurately make is if Tulane were to win this game, Todd Graffinini might have a coronary. They might have to put him in a hospital somewhere in
press
New
box?
Orleans.
Yes.
Because I don't think he could handle it.
Right.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, guys.
So I'm hoping my friend gets hospitalized. I'm not putting him in the ring straight up.
You're hoping for the best of all scenarios and outcomes that he
Just play well and
Just to hear Kraft's call at the end of that game would be priceless.
And then we'd have to have Monty. He'd probably be hoarse.
Yes. He'd be done for the season. It'd be over.
All right, guys, and of course the last
Who are you
game.
taking?
I told you I'm going with Tulane as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good.
like there's a lot of
we're all picking the
everybody's
same
picking the same thing, but I mean we're all not crazy clearly.
No fun.
Because I'm going to win the
You just
season.
want me to be the idiot.
Well, not necessarily.
Let Larry go first.
Okay, so the last.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, of course you are. Last game, of course, in Starkville, LSU at Mississippi State. LSU is a 7.5-point favorite in Starkville.
I'm going LSU. I think the defense is going to shut down Mississippi State, and I think they could win by 10. So I'm going to go LSU.
Do you realize that the last two games have been decided by a grand total of like 3 points?
No.
Just letting you know.
I'm just going with my gut. It always works, right? Go with your heart. You know, Jeff, like you say.
I like that. I like LSU too. I think this LSU team's a lot better than people think, and I agree with Larry. I think their defense is going to shut down Mississippi State. It'll be crazy early, but I think they wear them down in the second half.
Uh-oh, Clyde.
All right. I understand, and after watching this game each of the last 3 years, there's something about this game. I don't know what it is. And, I mean, I realize that no longer Les Miles is on the sidelines for these games, so that kind of helps. I just don't know if there is an absolute kind of something about this game, especially because it's so early now.
A lot of analysis from Clyde.
That you have two teams that obviously want to start 1-0 in the West. But there's something else extra about this game that I just can't put my finger on why it's been so close. But I really do think you have to give some credit to Mississippi State. So that's why I'm going to take Mississippi State, making it a little bit closer than what it'll probably end up being. I really do.
You got LSU straight up, though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I got LSU to win.
Blasphemy.
There we go.
LSU to win, but I'm taking Mississippi State, though.
Going against the LSU Tigers.
I'm not necessarily going against them. I mean, I know, but fortunately they don't have to sign my paycheck, so now I can be honest.
There you go. Just like Curtis Lofton, he can be honest, too.
Exactly.
There you go. Well, that wraps up NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Clay Travis.
I believe that everybody out there who wants to bet on sports gambling should not have to do it illegally.
Mornings 5 to 8.
You shouldn't have to worry about whether or not you're breaking the law.
Sports 1280.
More radio.
New Orleans.
Are you taking Viagra for ED? Well, now you can get Sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, in generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet. That's a savings of $40 per dose. Marley Drug is a North Carolina pharmacy delivering generic Sildenafil to your door. For information on Sildenafil, go to Marley Generic 5375.
So you've got a few cabinets to hang. Few meaning this is going to be a good month. You know what'll make it an even better month? Saving 10% off Hampton Bay cabinets at the Home Depot. Buy any combination of 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets and you'll save 10% off your order. So, enjoy that hang time. 10% off 10 or more Hampton Bay cabinets. Select finishes ship in as few as 2 days at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through October 31st.
Sports 1280 encourages you to do what you can to help out the victims of the recent hurricanes. You can drop off relief supplies like water, underwear, and toiletries incorporated to support the Flood Relief School Supply Drive to replace school supplies lost in the flooding. Go to sports1280.com. A message from Sports 1280 Communities, helping to make a difference in New Orleans.
The Red Cross depends on financial donation.
We have about 4 minutes.
Texting the word Harvey to 90999 to make a $10 donation.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280 New Orleans.
You will not go and become rich if you listen to my picks, especially in the college. Actually, my college record is better than my NFL record. That is a pile of steaming poop emoji. I mean, that's terrible.
You're venturing into Jim Mora territory there.
Yes, you are.
That's why I just said how I said it.
Yeah,
I didn't say it live and just go, we're on the air? And that's your reaction.
I ran into Mora out in Minneapolis.
The later it gets, Jim, the less patient you get with us. Is that true? Who said that? Scott. Tell Scott he's full of It's okay. About that. He's full of it. How about that? Yes, he is full of it. Yes.
I love at the end when
best quote in the world.
I love at the end, Dave, when he realizes they are live, and he just goes, ha! Even later, like that. He does it again. It's glorious.
I think I talked about that. I saw Fletcher and Sharif flying back from Minneapolis, and they were recounting the whole story and how shocked they were.
Yeah,
that Jim Mora
is amazing.
Didn't know they were on the air, and they didn't get any of the viral internet traffic from that because their company obviously was embarrassed by the situation, did not want to promote it, so they couldn't put it on WDSU's website. Everybody else in America did, of course, and had a blast with it. Jim Mora's unbelievable theater.
There's no question. What was it last year when he went nuts again on those guys about the season's not over, this, that, and the other? Imagine if he sat here next to me after week 1 and I'm saying it's a total disaster and he'd be screaming at me, cursing on the air too, I'm sure.
Yeah. You
lose on Sunday because I expect that. So I'm expecting 0-2. So no more panic. I'm just reserved.
Also, were you expecting
relegated to the fact that they're going to be mediocre?
Expect them to win the game?
Yeah.
No
one expected them to win that game.
I did.
But was it just the type of loss and the way they lost?
It's the way they lost. I mean, there's no question. They came out and were flat almost, it seemed like. It was uninspired, and they just looked like a disaster.
1 minute.
Mora told a real quick, funny story Saturday to him out in Minneapolis. Asked him if he watched his son's game, that big comeback UCLA had against A&M. He said, of course I did. Watched the whole thing. He didn't bail out, but he said he gave a friend 4 tickets to a suite to the game, and the guy left at halftime.
Oh, no.
So that guy's never getting tickets again.
Oh, my gosh. Way to go, dude. You pissed off Jim. Way to go.
Don't want to do that.
He's going to curse at you, too. So, want to thank Curtis Lofton. Want to thank Will Salmon of the Clarion Ledger up in Jackson. Want to thank Will Guillory, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, NOLA.com, SoundCloud to check out the podcast. Great show. And we'll have another great show tomorrow coming up on a Friday. NFL picks, lots of guests, lots of video, sound, not video, sound.
Yeah,
So,
Greg Bedard tomorrow.
absolutely. So, come on back. Thanks, Dave, back in the studio. Appreciate the time. And Josh Ennis coming up next. Sports 1280. And we're on NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.